Hey everyone, in this lesson we're gonna go over a new thing for us, references. References are kinda like pointers, but they make working with single objects a little easier. A reference is a type that's written as type ampersand or type ampersand ampersand. When you declare one, its name gets tied once to an already existing object or function, and from that point on, it always means that exact thing. A reference doesn't have its own storage, it can be reassigned to another object, and in expressions, it basically behaves like the object or function it's tied to. Put in simpler, less precise words, a reference is just a nickname for a variable, and using it feels kinda like using a pointer. I'll show you everything right now and it'll click. At the end of the lesson, I'll repeat the definition of a reference, and by that, it should make a lot more sense. Creating a reference to an object is easy. First, you write the type of the object, then an ampersand, then the name of the reference. After that, you have to assign it an actual object. And when I say object here, I really just mean a variable for now. So basically, you just write the name of the variable. Let's look at some examples. I made a variable and then I made a reference to it. What can I do with this? I can use the variable for reading, like when I print it out, we'll see the number 20. Then I can do the same thing using the reference. We'll also see 20. Anytime you use the reference's name, just imagine it's being swapped out with the variable's name. That's why here we see the value 20 again. Moving on, we can write to the variable by changing its value. If I print it out, I'll see 100, but I can also write through the reference. If I change the reference's value, the variable changes too. Again, think of it like the reference name is replaced with the variable's name. So here, through the reference, we're actually changing the variable. That's why in the next two lines we'll see the number 200. Next, we can get the address of the variable. We can also try to get the address of the reference, but we'll still just see the variable's address because, once again, whenever you see the reference's name, it's really just the variable's name behind the scenes. Now let's make another variable and try assigning it to the reference. In this line, the reference won't suddenly switch over to the new variable. Once you tie a reference to something, it's locked in. You can't detach it. So here, the reference name still points to the first variable. That means we're just changing the first variable's value to 5000. And later, we print both the first variable and the reference will see 5000. And finally, when I assign the value 0 to the reference, I'm really just assigning 0 to the first variable through that reference. So at the very end, we'll see 0. Now, let me repeat the definition of a reference one more time. A reference is a type written as type ampersand or type ampersand ampersand. In our case, we wrote int with one ampersand. When you declare it, its name gets tied once to an already existing object or function. In our example, that's a variable. The reference got tied to it. And from that point on, it represents that exact thing. So anywhere in the code we use the reference, we're really just using the variable. That's why a reference feels like just a nickname for a variable. Let's talk about the difference between pointers and references. I made a variable, then I created a pointer to it and also a reference. When you create a pointer, you put an asterisk next to the name. When you create a reference, you put an ampersand. If you want to tie a variable to a pointer, you have to explicitly put an ampersand next to the variable's name to get its address. But when you tie a variable to a reference, you don't write the ampersand. You also need to know that when you create a reference, you have to tie it to a variable right away. If I delete that part, I'll get a compile time error because there is no such thing as a reference that isn't tied to something. But with pointers, you can. Because a pointer is just another variable. It lives in memory, it has its own address, and its value can change. A reference is not a variable, it's just a named type that's tied to a variable and acts as its alias. Moving on. To get the value of a variable through a pointer, you have to dereference it with the asterisk. To get the value through a reference, you just use the reference's name. That's easier. But here's the thing. When you put an ampersand in front of a pointer, you don't get the variable's address. You get the pointer's own address, because it's an actual variable. With the reference, though, if you use the ampersand, you get the variable's address. You can't ever get the address of the reference itself because it doesn't actually exist in memory. Next, you can set a pointer to null, meaning it doesn't point anywhere. But you can't do that with a reference, because once it's tied to a variable at creation, it stays tied to it for its whole lifetime. So working with an object through a reference is a bit more convenient because you don't have to mess around with the referencing. But references do have their limits. You can't rebind their after creation, and you can't make them null. Let's look at what else you can do with references. You can create a constant pointer, a pointer that's permanently tied to one object. And yeah, you can also write code like this with a reference and put const there, but it's kind of pointless. A reference is already permanently tied to a single object, so adding const doesn't really add anything, even though it still compiles. You can also make a reference to a constant. To do that, you just put the word const in front of the type. After that, the reference works kind of like a pointer. In other words, a reference to a constant can be tied either to an actual constant or to a variable. The only difference is that you can't change the variable's value through that reference. You can also make a reference to a pointer. This is pretty rare in programming, but it does come up sometimes. So here's what we did. We created a variable, then a pointer to it, and then a reference to that pointer. How do you read it? From right to left. It's a reference to a pointer to an int variable. Now I can use that reference and everything will work just like with the pointer. Just imagine that everywhere you see the reference's name, it's being swapped out with the pointer's name. You can also create a reference to an array. The syntax is just a bit trickier. You need to first put the ampersand with the reference name inside parentheses, then on the right side specify the array size in square brackets. It has to be a constant value or a literal. And on the left side, write the type of the array's elements. By the way, this syntax looks a lot like creating a pointer to an array, except here you use an ampersand instead of a pointer. And now you can use the array reference anywhere to work with the actual array. The idea is the same as before. Just imagine that everywhere you see the reference's name, it's being swapped out with the array's name. You can also create a reference to a function. Once again, the syntax looks similar to a function pointer. First you write the function's return type, then in parentheses you put an ampersand with the reference's name, and then in another set of parentheses you list the function's parameter types. Personally, I've never really seen this used in programming. I've seen function pointers, but not function references. Still, it works and you can use them this way. And again, the same idea applies. Everywhere you see the reference's name, just imagine it being swapped out with the function's name. As weird as it sounds, you can even make a reference to a literal, but it always has to be a reference to a constant. Let me break it down slowly. A literal is just a temporary value. It doesn't really live long in memory. When you use it in an expression, it gets created in memory right there and then and immediately used. But when you create a reference to a literal, a temporary storage area is made for that literal. And through the reference, you can actually access that value. It'll stay alive in your program as long as the reference itself is alive. You can't do that with pointers. You can point a pointer directly to a literal. Now, why do we need a reference to a constant here? Because a literal is a value that can't be changed. And here's a bit of a preview. In C++, all temporary objects are called R-values. This includes literals as well as objects created from user-defined types. These temporary objects are often passed into functions, and instead of copying them into a function parameter, you can use a reference like this. We'll dig deeper into this later on in the lesson about L values and R values. Hang tight for that one. In the future, you'll often see references used as function parameters. For example, here's a function that takes a variable by reference and sets it to 0. In main function, we've got a variable equal to 10. We call the function, then print the variable's value, and we'll see 0. We could have passed the variable using a pointer instead, but in this case, we'd have to explicitly pass the variable's address when calling the function, and then also dereference the pointer inside the function. With the references, you don't have to do any of that. Here's another example, a function that takes an array along with its size. Its parameters are a pointer to an int and a regular int, but it returns a reference to an int. Judging by the function's name, you can probably guess that it returns a reference to the largest element in the array. And that's exactly what it does. It finds the index of the max element and returns it. Then, in main, we have an array and we call that function. We create our own reference and assign it the returned reference, which in reality means we're binding it to the element at index 1. After that, we modified it through the reference and print it out. We'll see the change number. Now let's remember the range-based for loop. It's usually used to go through containers. We haven't learned about containers yet, but the second most common case is arrays, and we already know those. So here, we've got an array and a range-based for loop that goes through it. There's one catch though. In these loops, you couldn't originally modify the array's elements, only read their values. Why? Because on the left side of the column, you write a variable name that you'll use to access each element along with the type of each element. In our case, it's int. The range-based for loop works by creating a separate variable each iteration, and the array element's value gets copied into it. Sure, you can change that variable, but that won't change the original array's elements. But now we can make that variable a reference. That way, each iteration gives us a reference to the next element in the array. You might be thinking, wait, didn't you just say a reference binds to one object when it's created and can't be rebound? But here it works, and how? The trick is that under the hood, the range-based for loop creates a brand new reference each iteration. That's all there is to it. Each new reference points to the next element. We'll take a closer look at what's going on under the hood of the range-based for loop in a separate lesson. For now, just remember, thanks to references, you can not only read the values of all the array's elements, but also modify them. By the way, if you tried using a pointer here, you'd get an error. Why? Because you'd basically be saying that each element of the array is itself a pointer, and that's not true. With references, though, we're not saying each element is a reference. It's all about the generated code that gets substituted in place of this syntax. One day, you'll see what that code looks like. The same goes with two-dimensional arrays. You can use a nested range-based for loop to go through them. Each element of a 2D array is actually a subarray. So in the outer loop, we've got a reference to that subarray. Each iteration gives us a new reference to the next subarray element, and then in the inner loop, we've got a reference to each element inside that subarray. Use it as much as you want. You probably know that you can create an array of pointers, like this for example, but you can't create an array of references. Why? Because an array is a block of data that lives together in memory. A reference, on the other hand, isn't actual data. It doesn't live in memory. When you create a single reference, you're not making new data. You're just making a new name for your existing objects. But an array has to consist of real data. That's why you get an error if you try to make an array of references. You can create a reference to a pointer, but what about a pointer to a reference? What do you think? Of course not. First, a pointer needs to store the address of some data, but a reference isn't data, so it doesn't have an address. Second, the only reason this code compiles is because the reference name just gets swapped out with the variable's name, and a pointer to a variable is totally fine to create. Alright, so we've got references figured out for now. A natural question comes up. Why even use them if they're just another name for an object? And here's the thing. To really see the benefit of references, you need to know more about C++ than you do right now. References were mainly created to make it easier to work with objects when passing them into functions. And I don't mean simple variables like int or double, but much more complex objects like classes and structs. If you pass those by value, they'll get copied, and that's extra work for the computer. But if you pass them by reference, you avoid that. I'll definitely show you how later. For now, the main benefit you can see is this. You can pass variables into functions and change them without dealing with addresses, meaning no pointer dereferencing. You can also use references with range-based for loops to modify array elements directly. For now, that's enough. But keep in mind, references are most often used with user-defined types. That's where they really shine. I've told you a lot about references, but not everything. There are also references to R values, to L values, and even forward references. We'll come back to them more than once as we keep learning. For now, as promised, let's repeat the definition. A reference is a type written as type ampersand or type ampersand ampersand. When you declare it, the name gets bound once to an already existing object or function, and from then on, it refers to that exact thing. Notice how I said ampersand ampersand. That wasn't a mistake. We just haven't seen references with two ampersands yet, but we already understand the core definition of a reference. It's a binding to data that has its own name, and through that name we can access the data. And that's the end for this lesson. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, donate via the link in the description, or become a channel sponsor to get access to practical lessons. Goodbye.